Hey guys, we're back with the notes for 10.1. I know that we finished Unit 11 and we're going a little bit backwards, but that's okay. Starting with this, if you'll copy everything you see, I'm going to keep the vertex information in pink and I'm going to keep the A value in blue. So write what you see and then we'll continue. Perfect. Okay, so things that I need you to know. First of all, HK has and always will be our vertex. So the first number in the vertex is the H. The second number in the vertex is the K. Make sure you remember that whatever the sign is here, the formula is X minus H. So if you see a minus sign, that means your H is positive. If your H, let me show you, if your H was a negative, then this sign would be a positive. Okay, so they have to be opposites. Keep that in mind, okay? All right, so we're going to go through the first part. A is 1 if you're following that 1, 4, 9 pattern. Basically, if you're going out 1, up 1, then your A is just a regular 1. Your A is going to be something else, like a 2, a 3, maybe a 1/2. Anytime you're going out 1 box and up more than that or only half as far. As we know, negative A's happen when it's flipped. It's enough details. Let's go ahead and get into a couple problems. Okay? All right, so problem number 1. First thing you're going to want to know is where is the vertex of my parabola? Remember, the vertex is this little dot where it changes directions. So my vertex is 0, 0. I'm going to do that for all problems on the first page. So problem 2, label my vertex. That problem is left 4, so that is a negative 4, but it's still on the 0 line for the y. Okay? All right, if I look at this next one, we have this as our vertex. It's down 5, so 0, negative 5. And for problem 4, we have this point. It is left 4, down 2, so negative 4 and a negative 2. Okay, that's how we get our vertex. That's our H and our K numbers. So on the quiz, what it's going to do, or sorry, not the quiz, the practice, when you fill in your answers and it's going to say H equals what, all you have to type in is a 0. It'll say K equals what? All you type in is 0. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so now let's talk about what the A value is. A value means if I'm looking at the graph and I'm having to hit the next point away from the vertex, how much do I move to do that? So if I zoom into problem 1, if I move out 1 box and I go up until I hit the parabola, how much did I go up? Well, I only went up 1 box. So my A is 1. If I go to problem 2, if I go out 1 box and I go up 1 box, I hit the parabola. So my A is 1. I only went up 1. Okay? Same thing on problem 3. Out 1, up 1. I hit the parabola. So I'm consistently moving up 1 for every problem on this page so far. Last one, number 4. If I go out 1 box and up 1 box and I hit the parabola, that means my A is 1. Okay, we're going to go through all of the vertex and the A values for this whole notes, and then we'll go back and write equations, okay? All right, so all of my A's were 1 on this page. My vertex moved around. Let's look at the next page. Go ahead and flip with me. Okay, so on problem 5, let's do the vertex first. Problem 5, my vertex is right here. That point is 3 to the right and up 1. Problem 6, my vertex is on the origin, so 0, 0. Problem 7 and 8, both of them have my vertex still at the origin. So we're still at 0, 0 and 0, 0. Okay, last 2 on the bottom. My vertex for 9 is left 4, so we're going to go negative 4 and 0. Problem 10, my vertex is up 5, so we're going to go 0 and then positive 5. Those are my vertex. Zoom out for a second if you need them. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the A values now because they're not going to be the same. You'll notice on problem 5 that I highlighted the A with yellow. Hopefully that'll be a way for you to remember that this graph is flipped. It's going the wrong direction. It's upside down. So that means I have to remember that A is negative. Okay, so if I move out 1 box from my vertex, you'll notice I have to move down to hit the parabola. I still only move 1 box, but now I'm going down 1. That means that my A is a negative 1. Okay, let's go to number 6. Number 6 is regular. It's going up, so I know it's positive. But if I move out one box only on my graph, I have to go up 1, 2. Oops. I have to go up 1, 2 before I hit my parabola. So my A is a positive 2 because I went up 2 boxes. Okay. All right, let's look at 7 and 8. 7, I made it negative again. It's yellow. I got to make sure that it's upside down. If I move out one box, I'm going to zoom in. This one's kind of tricky. When I move out one box, look, I have to go down 1, 2, and 3. It doesn't hit until I get all the way down here. So my graph moved down 3 before it hit the parabola. That means my A is a negative 3. All right, problem 8. Zoom it in a lot. This is problem 8. If I move out one box, look how much I move up. I don't even get to go up a whole box. I'm only going up halfway. It's still up, so it's positive, but I'm only going up a half. That makes my A a positive 1/2. Okay, maybe take a second, pause it, see if you can figure out what 9 is. Okay, hopefully you did that. So problem 9, if I go out one box, I move down 1 and I hit it. Down means negative. I only moved one box. My A is negative 1. 10, same thing actually. Out one box, down one box, and I hit. Since I went down 1, that means my A is a negative 1. I'm going to zoom out in case you missed anything on this page. Oops. Go ahead and write those down. And we're going to go back to the front. Let's start making our equations. All right, so we are going to be plugging everything that we have into this formula. And I'm going to write it down right underneath here. Okay, so y equals A, and then x minus h parentheses squared plus k. All right, a couple things I want you to remember. First of all, my A is blue. That's going to go here. My h and k are pink. That's going to go here and here. Whatever the k is, you just write that at the end. Whatever the h is, you have to remember to change the sign when you write it in parentheses. So if I was going to write this one down with you, I would say y equals, my a would be a 1. I still have parenthesis x minus, my h is 0. Oops, I guess I should have written that in pink. My h is 0. I still have the parenthesis squared, but now my k would be plus 0 also. All right, so thinking about that as my formula, we would never put zeros in an equation, okay? So I'm actually going to move this out of the way, or how about we just do this? Why don't we just write our final answer right here? Okay, I'm making a really small box because you'll notice if I don't use the zeros, let me make a note of that, don't need zeros. Then that means all I really have is a y equals my 1 and an x squared. I don't need the zeros and I don't need the parentheses on this problem. Because if I'm not subtracting anything from x and I'm not moving it up or down, then all that means is that's my parent function. Just y equals x squared or y equals 1x squared, either way. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And let's move it over here to problem 2. All right, you don't have to copy it every time. I just am so you can see it. All right, so on this problem, start with my black. I'm always using y equals, my a is 1. I'm plugging in x minus. Now, watch what happens. If my h is a negative 4, watch what happens if I do x minus negative 4. We never want to leave 2 negatives in a problem like this, okay? So if I'm looking at this, I'm not allowed to have minus negative 4. Whenever you see this, I want you to take it, let me grab a different color, let me grab green. I want you to take these 2 negatives and make them into one really big plus sign. They have to have different signs. Whatever this one is, this one has to be different, okay? They're different. Notice I do not need the 0 on the end, so if it's easier for you, you can just erase that 0, or you can rewrite your answer one more time. But this line right here, let me make it yellow, this line right here is what you would type in as your answer. y equals 1, parenthesis, x plus 4, parenthesis, raised to the second power. Okay? All right, let's go down and look at number 3. All right, number 3. Starting with plugging my pieces in, I'm going y equals 1, because my a was 1. Plugging in parenthesis x minus, using my 0. Close parenthesis, squared minus 5. Now, we talked about again, I do not need that minus 0 in the parenthesis. And if I'm not using minus 0, then that also means I don't need the parentheses. Okay, so let me go ahead and make a note of that. If 0, let's say if h is 0, remove the 0 and parentheses. So one more time, if the h is 0, then I can take out that 0 and the parentheses. So the only things that I would have left is y equals, keep my 1, keep my x and my squared, no minus sign, no 0, no parentheses, and then I can put my minus 5 on the end. Okay, so my actual equation I would type in would be y equals 1, x squared minus 5. All right, let's do one more on this front page. All right, one more time I'm going to write my formula down here so you can see it. You don't have to write it every time. You're writing in y equals, my a is 1, parenthesis x minus, we're seeing that same number again, minus 4 for my h. Close the parenthesis and make my squared, and then we have a minus 2 on the end. One more time, you are not allowed to have double negatives right here. We have to change it, so I'm going to use a different color so you can see it. We're going to go right over the top of that minus and negative and make it one big plus sign. If you type in minus a plus 4, I'm marking it wrong. If you type in minus negative 4, I'm marking it wrong. It has to be x plus 4. Okay? All right. I'm going to zoom out just a second so you can see all of those. If you missed anything, let's go ahead and hit the back page. All right. Back page. I'm writing down my formula, and we're ready to plug them in. We're going y equals a negative 1 this time. You have to type the negative. Closing up our parentheses, we're going x minus, plugging in a 3. Close my parentheses squared, and I have a positive 1 on the end. There's no zeros to get rid of, so everything stays. That's a final answer. Okay, that's number 5. Going over to number 6, think about some of the things we've talked about so far. We've mentioned that you do not need to use zeros. We've also said when h is 0, we use no parentheses. So let's think about what that would look like then. If this is my normal formula, and I don't need the zeros and I don't need the parentheses on this problem, then all I have to write down is y equals 2, and then I still have to have my x and my squared. If you would like to just get in the habit of memorizing, if your graph starts at the origin, 0, 0, there's no parentheses and no plus and minus. Okay, that's an easy way to remember it. So one more time, this is your final answer on number 6. All right, problem number 7. Same thing again. I have zeros, I don't need them, and if h is 0, I don't need parentheses. So my formula answer is y equals negative 3, because that's my a, and then I keep my x squared. That's it, I'm done. If it starts at the origin, all you have to do is put the a in front of the x squared. Surprise, surprise, number 8 looks the same. We're going y equals 1/2. I don't need the zeros, I don't need the parentheses, so I just say x squared. All right, there's your answers for 5 to 8 so far. We got 2 more. All right, last 2 problems. Numbers 9 and 10. If I set up my formula down here one more time, writing it out, y equals a negative 1, because that's my a. I don't have a 0 for h, so I do need to write it down. Parentheses x minus, you'll see it again. I'm trying to show you the same one over and over, so you'll look at it. Negative 4 squared, and we don't need that 0 on the end. So if you want to just see it for a second, I'm going to make these 2 changes. This 0 needs to go away, okay? Bye, Felicia, he's gone. Also, I need to make sure that if I have minus and negative, that I'm changing it to a big old plus sign. That right there is my final answer. Last one. I do have a 0 this time. It's my h, so I want to make sure that I do not use parentheses. If you want to write it all out and then remove it, that's fine with me. Let's do that. Y equals, plugging in my -1 as my a, close parentheses. We're starting with x minus, writing my 0, close parentheses squared, and then my +5 on the end. So if h is 0 in the middle, that means I don't need the zeros and I don't need the parentheses. I can go ahead and squish all of this together. So my answer is y equals -1, x squared plus 5. Okay, go ahead and zoom that out so you can see 7, 8, 9, and 10 if you missed it. You guys are working on the practice. Make sure you're only doing the questions that are assigned. You should only be doing 5 of the practice problems. All right? If you have questions, go ahead and jump on WebEx and I'll help you clear it up.